Hello guys, welcome back. This is going to be a bit of like a very informal video because just thinking a little bit about freedom of speech and how it relates to misinformation. Basically coming off of the new Joe Rogan um, controversy is like he's controversial for something it's like every 2 months or something like that. Basically, it's just an open letter to Spotify and saying that having certain people on is leading to the spread of misinformation. And I just sort of wanted to break it down really quick and see if I can help us think this through a little bit. I'm a huge fan of free speech and free expression. I believe in creating a dialectic so that the more ideas and concepts we have access to, um, the more powerful we can be to make positive change, because the more the better off you are. However, there seems to be a bit of a problem in that public is really uneducated, as in like cognitive bias, statistics, how to actually think critically. All of those are super important in terms of actually making good use of the knowledge that is given to you. So if you're completely uneducated and you don't know how to properly read statistics, then you listen to a famous podcaster who has on, say, an anti-establishment guy, and he says a bunch of stuff that, let's say, for example, isn't true, but you don't know how to ask the right questions to see if it is true. You can end up believing something that was false. Hence the concept of misinformation. Um, And so I can see where that can definitely be problematic. It's like education and personal responsibility have to go like hand in hand with freedom of speech. You can't just have a complete free for all. Nobody takes accountability for what they say. Nobody takes the responsibility to do proper research and have proper education so that they can actually think properly. Um, then yeah, it would definitely seem to create a bit of a problematic thing. And of course, for me, I don't think cancel culture is a great solution for anything. So what I would prescribe to society as a whole, as if I were qualified to do that, maybe not. I would say, instead of worrying about canceling a bunch of people that we think, in our own opinions, are giving misinformation, why don't we focus more on educating the public and having a much better education curriculum? Cognitive bias, there's like multiple biases that you should be aware of, how statistics actually work, how you should read them, and different questions you should ask to verify if something is true. I feel like if we actually taught people how to think like really, really well, this issue would sort of not be as big as it is. And also just personal accountability and responsibility. Like you understand, like I hope why do people not understand that it is impossible to do virtually any topic justice in 140 characters on Twitter? It's impossible to be articulate, accurate, and nuanced and fair and well rounded in such a way that accounts for all of the variables and actually gives people something to work with without shaming them into believing you just because they should, because you're a good person and they're bad for not believing you. It's virtually impossible to do a topic justice like that in our sort of clickbaity headline. Read the headline and form an opinion based on the headline. Well, 90% of the time, the headline is like misleading. It's not even true. It's like close enough to the truth so that it can be the headline, but then when you actually read the actual article, it's like, oh, that's not quite the way it is. Then when you actually read the actual source material and then their source material, it's like, oh, we're actually like at least 20, 30, maybe even 50% removed from the truth. And so, yeah, my advice to Joe Rogan would be to have an even wider range of people on. And if I knew that I was going to have on somebody who was controversial and potentially misinformation, depending on my point of view at the time, I would also schedule in other people who are on the opposite ends of the spectrum and pick a whole bunch of other ones that are in between. So that way, it's not like I'm only pushing out one version of the narrative. Look, I'm giving you this version, this version, this version, this version. Here's all these different people with all these different opinions, and now the public can decide what they want to believe. Oh, I can even host debates. That would also be fun. But yeah, those are my very, very brief thoughts on that. Obviously, my thoughts are incomplete. I'm still learning, researching, and if you would like to be a part of that and give me your thoughts, like and subscribe, and we'll see where this goes. Thanks so much for being here, and have a great rest of your